beautiful week. I know lately we've been doing guest presenters, but I said, let me pop on in here and say hey to everybody. I have personally been so busy, but all is well. Don't be forced to be on camera. It's totally up to you. I'm going to pin myself here. Hopefully you can see me okay. Hey y'all. Oh my gosh. Can you believe it's July? Like we're halfway through the year. I feel like I say that every time I come on camera. It's like, here we are, another month, and time doesn't stop. I hope everybody's safe. Y'all know I'm in Texas, and some people have reached out. They had the big flood and everything, and all is well here in Dallas. But I know some families have been really, really impacted, and it's just so sad. So, not sure if you know anybody who's been impacted by the floods, but I hope everyone is okay. Of course, we are praying for all of them. It's just quite an interesting time in the world. So, you all know I am big on self-care. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope you are eating. I hope you're getting rest. Yeah, life is good, but my heart is to market. My heart is to build relationships, and I'm so excited about this session. Now, I had a little trouble with the PowerPoint presentation, so what I'm going to do is email it afterwards. So you're just going to hear me talk, but I don't know why it didn't pop up. Maybe I'll try again. I've been using Canva, so. But I had a little hard time getting it over. So, but either way, I'm going to email it out along with the replay. Let me make sure we're recording. Yeah, we're recording. Awesome, awesome. Thanks for joining in. And I'm going to get started. So, we're about halfway through summer. School starts next month. Can you believe it? We have been getting approached quite a bit for families who need before and after school care, and I'm going to touch on that. But one of the biggest questions I always get is how in the world do you find your clients? And I know I've done live streams on this before, but I've personally been pivoting in my agency and become really intentional about how I market. And I love social media. I love posting. I love all that. And I do some, but I'm really big on creating relationships and using who I know. So, the first secret that I have, well, first, I'm Stephanie. I don't know if anyone is new. This is your first time tuning in. I'm Stephanie, founder of so many things. Okay. My agency is a Matoto agency. I own a nanny brand called Nanny Tees. Y'all know I love nannies. I was a nanny for 13 years, nanny house manager for 13 years here in Dallas, traveled, just been so blessed. But during the pandemic is when my agency really started growing. And so also founder of the Nanny Agency School, I have a heart of teaching. I have a heart of helping others. I just like to serve, and that's just who I am. But the way I got into the agency industry was families always approach me, do you know anybody available? And so I found myself acting as a recruiter, and literally day and night, I would find nannies to send. I'd send friends. I send my sister. I would find nannies. I'd meet nannies at Starbucks, and I'm like, this is my time. And so eventually I started my own agency, and here we are almost 13 years later. Um, in a lane that I didn't think I would be in. So, one of the biggest things that I've learned, and I wish I had a coach when I started 13 years ago. I was nannying when I got my first client. I was in San Diego, and I got the client from a nanny friend. And she said, hey, this family is looking and they're fine with going through an agency. So it was literally the easiest placement at that time. My placement fee was $2,000. I was so excited. Like, oh my gosh, I found them a nanny and I made $2,000. I remember talking to an agency owner friend, and I'm so glad she said that. She said, don't you ever in your life, 13 years ago, charge $2,000. I said, that's a lot of money. That just $2,000 to help them find a nanny. She said, you think about the time you spent. You had to run the background checks of every candidate you found. You had to call the references, and it was just only me at that time. And so I said, you know what? Although it was a quick placement, it was time because I was working too. So I switched my model, and I'm so glad I did. I'm going to thank her. publicly one day soon. But I say all that to say, over the years, I found that everything is relationship based. My first nanny placement was relationship based, nanny friend. And so I want to focus on that today. And if you're just joining, my slides kind of, I don't know why they're not coming up, but I'm going to email them out. So I wanted to share my summer selling secrets. And so the first secret is to use what you have and make it work. I know that it's so easy to overthink. It's so easy to say, well, I don't know where to start. It's because you probably don't have a strategy. And I get that. I get it. It is work. And if most of the people that I'm talking to usually are their only employee, or they have maybe them and another, person in their agency, but usually about 75% of agency owners that I coach and, consult, it's just them. So in that, use what you have. If you were a nanny or you are a nanny, or maybe you work in corporate, your network is rich. So what I did was I purposely went to every single family that I work for. And I said, hey, I'm starting this agency. Would you be open to sharing it? And this was before texting was big, like we text and all that 13 years ago, but it was really word of mouth. And so we had social, but it wasn't as social as it is now. So I just asked them, do you mind sending an email? Do you mind calling a friend and letting them know, hey, this nanny has a nanny agency and she has the joy of sharing and partnering families with great nannies. So use who you know. Who do you know? Your cousins, your uncles, your parents, your neighbors, your friends, your church members, your coworkers, the mailman, like everything around you is a relationship, whether you're close or not. Use what you have because you never know who knows who. On Sunday, I'm marketing for an event. So I went to a church on Sunday and this lady comes up to my table. She said, um, I just saw your information and I didn't realize, what you did. We were literally just talking about hiring nannies for our nurses that work early. So if you have any nurse friends, reach out to them because I guarantee I used to work for an anesthesiologist and she would be out the door at 6 a.m. So there are other anesthesiologists, doctors, OBs, dentists who need childcare. So ask your own. And next time you go to the doctor, next time you go to the dentist, say, hey, I own a nanny agency. I would love to leave my card um, with you. And let me tell you this, although I have a virtual card, it's called Hi Hello. I'll show you what it looks like. There is nothing like a business card because I can't tell you how many times I have stood waiting to pull up my virtual card when they could have walked away. And sometimes, phones are slow, but I have my own QR code. I don't know if you can see that. It's called Hi Hello. This is great. And I'll put it in the chat box. But carry business cards because really a lot of the seasoned business owners that I know still have business cards. They hardly use Hi Hello. So there's Hi Hello, there's Blink, BLINQ, I think it is. And then I'll think of the other one, but get your cards, have them with you. But I said that to say, get involved with your own network and let them know what you do. Another thing you can do is reintroduce yourself to your audience on social and email. I know a lot of you don't like to show your faces. I was just talking to an agency owner the other day, and they are nowhere on their site. I'm like, I get it. I get it. We don't know who the owner of Costco is or the owner of Sephora. I get it. But our industry is so specific and it's so personable. Um, I think personally, it's better that people know who you are because you get to tell your story. Every time I'm in an interview talking with the family or a consultation, I say, well, when I was a nanny, I did this. Here are some of the things that work for me as a nanny. And so it allows them to get to know you. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there on social. You don't have to talk. You can do a picture with words across. There are so many ways you can do that. And we're going to talk about outsourcing as well. Okay. If you've not, well, before that, follow up with past clients. If you have placed, just ask them every month, just send an email. Hey, we would love for you to share our agency with your community. Here's a free booking if we, place one of your sitters or something. But I'm not big on agency discounts, but you can do that. It's worked for some, but use your own network. Now, if you have not placed yet, I know many of you are brand new. I would just ask your former nanny families if you were a nanny, or again, anybody in your network. I know some of you are in corporate. Ask them to, share with HR. If you have a corporate job, get on over to the HR department and say, hey, we offer backup care. I would love to see if we can be a benefit. I'm telling you, it works. Okay. And your network is powerful. So I do have some homework here, and I will again send this out. So your homework, if you want to make a list, so you're going to make a list of 10 people to contact and reach out to them by Friday. Yes, this Friday. You know 10 people. Find 10 people. If you live in an apartment, ask your neighbors, ask the front office, like, hey, I own a nanny agency and I would love to share with our community residents. Find another office, but 10 people that you know and reach out to them by this Friday. What's Friday? The 12th, 11th, 12th? Do it this week. And I guarantee all you need is one. All you need is one. Okay. We want more than one though. Also, uh, reintroduce yourself to your social, which is great. And your email list if you have one. If you do not have an email list, create a free opt-in. Okay. This free opt-in can be 10 ways to prepare for back to school the easy way. You can also link to other articles. If you're not much of a writer, I know a lot of people use ChatGPT, and I have thoughts on that. It's a great resource. However, you want to make sure you edit and make it your own. But 10 steps on preparing for nighttime, like 10 steps, whatever your expertise is, if you have one, feel free to share it. I'm in Dallas. 10 things you can do with your kids before going back to school. 10 books kids can read to help with reading. Here are 3 YouTube videos that can help your kids learn color. So there's so many things that you can do to get your families on your email list. And so when you capture that, you can send correspondence, share your information, and do all the things. Now, if you don't have the capacity, find a VA, and we'll talk more about that too. All right. Also, y'all know I love Facebook groups. Get social in groups. Be intentional with groups. You join and engage, but don't just sell. So I let you all know that I'm in tons of nanny groups. I'm sorry, family and mom groups. So for instance, there was one I saw a post earlier today about a mom whose mom is in New York and she needs help. And so she's like, we'll fly somebody up. We just want, my mom to have help for the next 3 weeks. And so I kindly sent a message. And my secret is a voice note. I love sending voice notes. I get you can type messages out, but you get in those messenger. I should let you listen to one. But I get a messenger and I say, hey, this is Stephanie. I saw your post in the group and this is who I am. I own a nanny agency. I would love to offer resources or help with your search. I'm going to drop my link below and let me know if you want to hop on a chat. About 75% of them respond. I get, some of them read and all that, but if they hear your voice, it's different. It's personable. So you see how that's different than just copying and pasting your message. Because I have a notes message too. My VA has a notes message that she sends, but it's a personal touch when they hear your voice. And so sometimes we're messaging back and forth, and I'd only do it for like a certain time of day because if not, moms will want to talk all day. So between 8 and 8:30, I just hop right on in. Hey, just want to check in and see if you're still interested in a nanny. Oh yeah, here's my number. And that's another thing. A lot of times you're going to have to follow up and check in with families because they're so busy with their kids. They may forget. They may be reading through other messages, but if they hear your voice at the top of their inbox, I'm telling you, they will respond. And even if it doesn't work out, you've made a new connection. Ask them to refer you. I remember a family in Dallas. They were going to New Orleans and somebody tagged me in the post. So I sent her a voice message and I had her nanny in New Orleans place that night. So it's something about just being personable. It works for me, and I just want you to try it. I think it'll work for you. Okay. So those are your homework tips. I will email this out. The second secret is focus on one thing and go all in. I get it. Your agency may be set up to be full service. That is fantastic. Mine is. We do full-time, part-time, sitters, houseman, all the things. That is fantastic. But sometimes it can get overwhelming marketing all of it. So that does not mean that you have to turn down any clients that come in. But I think that if you focus on one thing, that allows you to go in, market, hone it, possess the land and make it work. Okay. So if you only want to focus on sitters, that is fine. That does not mean that you turn down the full-time, part-time client, because most families that I have right now are looking for as needed, but a lot of them do want full-time, part-time care. So here are some of the areas you can focus on. Excuse me, before and after school care. And let me talk about that real quick. Families right now are looking, and I've heard agency owners say that is so hard to place. It's, we can't find nannies who, want to commit to that. But yes, you can. So I did a reel, I think last week or the week before. I talked about how you should be recruiting and marketing before and after school nannies. It is such, to me, an untapped niche. And I know the placements are different. It may not be the full year, but parents really are planning, and they don't have, a lot of them don't have resources. Grandparents may not be in town, they may not have family or whatever. So if they know that there's an agency that focuses on before and after school childcare, game changer, game changer. And so you can price those a couple ways. You can become the employer if you would like to and hire them, and then upsell a little bit on the rate. So you're making an hourly rate while you're paying your employee. Now you have to be careful. I have done it before. You got to make sure your insurance is up to par, because the agency, well, the drivers are your employees. So make sure you have the best insurance, and make sure, they're safe drivers. So you have to, of course, do all your background checks, but you can do it that way, or just do the simple placement. You can have a 9-month placement package. So that takes the family, what, August through May. I think that's 9 months, or whenever school starts and school ends, and say, hey, our school year placements are this amount. And you would pay the nanny directly at, each week or every other week. So I would consider, I'm a fan. If you're looking for a way to really get into a niche, I'm telling you, there are pods. There are families who try to work out carpooling. Well, Jack has karate and Becky has gymnastics on Thursday. What better way than to hire a trusted, fully vetted professional nanny that can step in? So I think that should be your area of focus. And how you market that, of course, get in those Facebook groups, but see what the school districts have coming up. I'm sure PTAs are about to start meeting. These neighborhood groups, they all have Facebook groups. Now, sometimes they're a little tight on who they'll let in. You have to maybe provide your street name or something like that, but you never know. So I would, I'm just a fan of before and after school nannies, because many people don't talk about it, but I think that that should be something you focus on. Okay, just want to say that. Another one, wedding childcare. I love weddings. We have a blast. The food is always good. Special event kids booths. I love special events. I think most of the things we vent at are special events. I just did one, of course, on Sunday, but before that, we did a dad group, and they take a walk every month with dads. And every time I'm there, I get a chance to talk to dads. Yeah, my wife is so overwhelmed, and she's up and down, and we really need some help. Do those events. I'm going to post another reel soon about everything I bought at Dollar Tree and how I create my goodie bags. But I'm telling you, those events connect you with clients. And a lot of times, these events are looking for free vendors. I've literally reached out to event hosts and said, hey, we would love to provide arts and crafts for the kids. And they're like, oh my gosh, one of the things that's so hard that parents can't focus because, there's nothing to do for the kids. And so you go in there and you become a solution for what they need. And that way they get more people at their events and you get more people on your email list. So in my bags, I should have bought one. I always have event information, and I always have a little toy. I know Party City is closed, so now Amazon and a Dollar Tree are my friends. You don't have to spend a lot. I think I've spent about $30 on tons of toys. They're over there on the floor. So go in there and create kid spaces. And I'm going to share more of that probably in another one, because, okay, these office buildings, y'all, there are office buildings everywhere with tons of tenants in there. And I one day was going to say, I'm going to go in and create a childcare room in those places. But there's licensing and things you have to have. And I didn't want to be a daycare, but I wanted to provide childcare. You go in some of those office buildings, and because everybody's a business owner, and ask them, like, hey, this is what we do. I would love to leave my information. Is there a list serve or email list? And they're like, oh yeah, we'll send your information out. So that's a strategy. Just want to drop that. You see how I'm like being intentional with going in and kind of just putting yourself out there, making it work and building those relationships. Sitter memberships are a great thing. I'm a fan. We have them. Um, and that is a great way to earn recurring income, especially with school starting. I mean, it's fantastic. So depending on what platform you use, I use Engine Hire. I love Engine Hire. They have a great way to set things up, but you can always go in Stripe and create those memberships, add them to your list or your website, and sign families up. They need date nights, and share the benefit as to why they need these memberships. Yes, we love our children. Yes, we love spending time with them, but mom and dad came before babies. Okay. So you see how I sold that? Like they need self-care. Okay. And that is date nights. So of course, part-time and full-time nannies, church and conference childcare, nannies plus household managers. That's been a request too. Families, they won't help with the kids, but they also need help running their homes. So you can market that. I think one agency they're called, is it Manager? I don't know the name of it, but they've some kind of way infused the nanny and the house manager role, which I think is fantastic. You can sell that, especially starting with the school year. And then of course, travel nannies. Lots of families with young ones travel. And so you get with those travel agents, join those travel groups. Yeah, I know this is a lot, right? But you see how you should focus on one thing, because imagine doing all of that marketing for all of those services. Yes, you can do it, but I just highly recommend you focus on one thing. That's what I'm doing right now. Well, actually two, but it's working, and we still accept the other types. So for example, I just got an application today from a family looking for newborn and postpartum care. I never promote that. Never. So I get those far in between. But yeah, focus on one thing. Oh, thank you, Krista. Hey, hey, kids and caboodles. So, all right. So your homework for that, once you decide on that one thing, find a VA to help you compile a list of contacts. I love virtual assistants. They're everywhere on LinkedIn. Everywhere. I think I get an inbox every day. Hi, I'm a VA looking for extra work. See what they have to offer. They're in Facebook groups. They're on Indeed. I actually found an intern for an event I'm doing on Indeed. They are in your local colleges as well. Like, get an intern. Get an intern. We can talk more about that later, but there are students looking for internship hours, and they need a certain amount of hours. I've had one before, and she did a lot of our onboarding and intake. And then at the end of her semester, I, communicated with the school. She completed all these hours. Consider an intern, especially with social media too. So Danny says, agencies that do backup care, you need to send an email about date night ideas for Valentine's Day, of course, but all the time. Not having to think of a date night would totally get me to go on one and book a sitter. I love that. Thank you, Danny. Send the date night ideas. That is fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you. Um, so once you find your VA, do that. Also, I'm a fan of relaunching. You can be like a soft relaunch. It's like you don't have to, make it a whole shebang, but kind of make it one. So for instance, when I say relaunch, you're going to say August 1st is the date I want to start marketing my before and after school nannies. Really, you should be doing that now because parents are planning. But August 1st is the date. And leading up to August 1st, these are the things I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to have my system set up. If you're going to hire the nannies, you can do the payroll. If you're going to, have the families pay you a placement fee, figure out what that is and do not undercharge. Okay, I'm percentage based. Most agencies are percentage based, but remember, 9 months, that's a job. Okay, so you're going to prepare your launch date, make the announcement on this one service, and market that only. And here's the deal, you can change the service if you want to. If you want to say, hey, for a month, I'm only going to market babysitters. And then maybe the next month you market another thing. I think you should stick with one thing, but again, go ahead and do it because you're not going to miss out on any clients, because they're going to come back to your website, read the things that you offer and everything. But that one thing, okay? Have your VA send individual emails and personalize them. So I love MailChimp. I use Wix. I love Constant Contact and all the other ones. But there's something personable about putting, hello, Becky. I'm Stephanie of da 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 da. And I just want to share that this is what we offer versus a MailChimp and they can unsubscribe, which is fine. They should be able to unsubscribe. But sometimes that personal touch really helps. And that personal email does not need to be long. The call to action I have is let me know if you want to hop on a quick call. And many of them do because they want to get to know you. They're not about to just, share your nanny agency with all their employees if they don't know you. That's almost like, um, well, I will say some families are just like pick a nanny for me and send them. But most of my families want to meet the nanny beforehand. So it's kind of like the same thing. It's, you want to meet your date before you go on it. Okay, so have your VA send individual emails. If you have to do it, of course, you do it. And then make your consults virtual or in person if you have the capacity. When I first started, I did all of my consultations in person and I loved it. I love going to the families' homes. You can see how they live. And that's a great way to see if you would want to place a nanny in that environment. And that's a whole other topic. I believe that not only should the nannies be great, but the family and the household should be great as well. I get it can get a little messy in there, but you want to see how people live sometimes if you have the capacity. So consider in person if you can, or virtual, which is also great. I love talking to clients like this. Um, and it's interesting. I had asked, I knew a family that went through another agency. They were just friends. And I said, did you ever meet them in person? Or did y'all ever do a virtual consult? And they were like, no, we just did everything over the phone and email. I said, would you have liked that? And they were like, yeah, it would have been nice to, meet them and get to know the agency. So you can be that different agency if you have the capacity. I get it. Some of you are still working, you may not have a partner or somebody, but you can train somebody to go on your behalf. I personally like to go because it's just fun, but up to you. Okay, so that was secret number 2. I know that was long. Use what you have. Okay. Secret number 3, I always say plan a season ahead. So really, fall, everything should be planned out. Back to school is coming. Labor Day is coming. Lots of families travel. Pitch a travel nanny. Halloween is coming. We love Halloween, and that is such a good time to get involved. So, some of your shopping districts. So, we have a place here, it's called Legacy West. They do tons of events for family. We have downtown Dallas, we have Fort Worth, we have the city of Coppell. I mean, pick one and then market there. But see what those cities are having and see if you can donate candy, treats. Now, I'm going to touch on that really quickly because when we do weddings and special events, we never provide food. I know Halloween is different, so candy is a thing, but we never provide food because I don't have a food handler's license. And I would hate to provide gummies in that bag and little Bobby chokes. And they come back to me and say, Bobby choked on the gummy that you gave him, so I'm going to sue you. So just be mindful when you do your goodie bags and everything. If you want to put food in there. And nut allergies are real, gluten allergies are real. Like you just never know. I remember I nannied for a family. It was a temp job. And I think they were Muslim. Who doesn't eat pork? I think it's Muslims that don't eat pork. I don't remember. But I could not bring pork in the house, and I had to leave my shoes at the door, which many families do, but like they literally were so strict on that. So there were just things I've learned over the years about, food, snacks, allergies, liabilities, because people will sue you if you look at them wrong. Not really, hopefully not. So just be mindful. Okay. So prepare for the fall. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and use all the other holidays, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Rosh Hashanah, Chinese New Year. Like, prepare ahead. I know that's fall and winter, but if you know that those things are coming up, you can have your VA create the content, create the email list, do a bundle of or do research on events happening in the city. I mean, now Facebook is loaded with so many back to school events. It's great. So prepare for the fall and really, really market. Pick one area if you can. I know many of us live in cities where there's tons of suburbs, but for instance, there's like a neighborhood in the neighborhood of the city that I just purposely, purposely focus on. And it's great because they're young families, working families. Most of the families are two-parent homes, and both of them are working. And so, again, that does not mean that we cancel out everybody else, but there's just something about focusing on one thing. Okay. Any questions? Excuse me.
I had one question about um like the Facebook groups. I know like a lot of times now I think they're kind of trying to get ahead of the business like soliciting. So like do you know any like get arounds of how, because I want to lie and be like, oh yeah, I'm never going to post about my business and then post about my business in there.
I just had a coughing attack. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Um, Facebook groups are very, very strict. There's this one, they will not allow anybody to post, sorry, without paying. And so find the groups that will allow you to post, but you don't want to become too salesy.
Right.
For example, you can put something like, hey, families, school is starting, and I would love to know what kind of services you would need, something like that. Um, if I see a family comment or ask about like referrals, recommendations, things like that, I'll always comment. Like for instance, if they're trying to get little Johnny to potty train, I always say, well, we read this book when I was a nanny, and I would love to share more information. So it's almost like you give a call to action
Okay.
in the response, um, and you pitch without pitching. So I'll never forget this one time, and I took screenshots of it. I said, hey, as a former nanny, these are some of the things I did, with me placing nannies now. I would love to know your opinion on this product. When I tell you, I probably had like 30 comments about, I think it was a bottle. This was quite some time because one of my families love Tommy Tippy bottles. And I know they've kind of changed the nipples and everything, but I asked, and I'm telling you, all these comments rolled in. So you kind of see how I sold without selling,
Yeah.
but I did sell. And so it was great. And so I think in one of the comments, I was like, I'm happy to share more information if you're in on the hunt for a nanny. So those are some of the things I did. So maybe what I'll do is I'll create some verbiage of things that I've done to try to get some engagement and send it out.
Cool. Also, I was the agency that she said that didn't have anything on there about us yet,
Yes.
and we're working on that. We have to get like professional headshots done, so that's in the making. We just didn't want to not have an about us page like at all,
Uh,
but our bios and things are already written. So,
Good.
yeah. And then I guess like there's one other question I had. Um, I guess it was about materials. Like I've seen like a lot of people that do like the engine hire like lives that are like don't get materials, like no one's looking at them. But then there's people like you that are like, that's detrimental, like always have materials. So I was gonna ask about materials, but you already went over that with business cards. Do you recommend doing like flyers, like in the kid spaces, like in the Y or at the country clubs, or no? Do you think they're looking at that?
I would email first and ask them, do like an email intro and ask them if they do. I'm gonna see if I have one of my cards on my purse. But I have these postcards. I don't have one nearby.
Because we
Uh,
actually got business cards and it's like our logo on the front, on the back. It's like what we place, and then we have like the QR code. so they can just
Yeah,
scan it because I feel
I
like
think that's
people.
brilliant.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely do that. And then, oh, I do have, okay, it's kind of torn up, but we have a magazine. It's called DFW Child.
Okay.
And I just like to get them and look at them. But in there, they have like events. They have, so this is mom approved dentists and orthodontics. So I have literally all the kids orthodontics in Dallas that I can, reach out to. So
Yeah.
I would do that, but I usually have a postcard somewhere around here. I'll send it. I'll put it in my stories or something.
Okay.
But yeah,
Thank you.
definitely do it because I went to a business conference not too long ago and probably most people had cards. So
Okay.
business cards and postcards because postcards you can do a little bit more in them.
Okay.
Flyers, yeah. I don't really, I'm trying to figure out. I'll see them at Starbucks or other coffee shops. Local coffee shops are good. They love community partnerships. So I would definitely connect with them.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. We got a couple comments. Oh, Krista, yes, I'm with you. She said, "Don't let a headshot stop you from adding the content." I would say only 20% of agencies have their photo on it. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Don't let it stop you. You can go outside and take a picture in the sun. Great lighting. And Danny says, "I know so many nanny agencies, and I legit almost hired a babysitter because she had a flyer up at the library." Oh, that's such a good idea. The library. Yes, Krista, desperate times call for desperate measures. Yes. Yes. So put your beautiful face on there.
Thank you. I will.
Welcome. Any other questions?
Stephanie, this is amazing. You just have like you speak at my level of brain processing and you've got it all down. This is so good. Like
Oh, thank
taking notes,
you.
no, it doesn't always apply to me, but nannies ask or agencies ask questions and I have my own thoughts of what I can do or what I've heard, and this is just really awesome stuff that you're offering. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, it's a pleasure. It's such a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. And if y'all need, matter of fact, shameless, here, get back on Krista. You got to tell. Mhm.
No, no, I mean, no, well, so my background, I used to run an agency. I was a nanny, just like Steph, just like so many of you. But now I'm the agency partner manager for GTM, which we do payroll, we do taxes, direct deposit, but we also do workers' compensation in-house. In Texas, it's voluntary, but a lot of states it's required. And then we also do healthcare reimbursements in-house, meaning they want to give money toward healthcare, they just put it in this arrangement and it's tax-free. So we do that really easy in-house, but also we do agency insurance and we also do full healthcare. We also do retirement plans. We also do um, human resources help. So you've got a family who's like, they've got multiple employees. They want an employee handbook. That's not something your agency probably has time to take on or maybe should take on in terms of liability. We have those extra HR support services with someone who's been doing HR and is licensed and all of that nationwide. So yeah, there's just like extra little things that we can do to support your business and make it where it's not your agency's rules to follow the law and pay taxes. It's just what exists. Go to these people and tell them. So yes, we do pay independent contractors and babysitters like through payroll processing as well. We do business payroll as well. So if you need that, it's just processing. So but thanks, Stephanie. That's sweet. We're
You're
not the only
welcome.
ones. We're not the only ones. But there's some great companies out there. But we can just do a little more in-house. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you, Krista. So you all be sure to reach out. Can you drop your email in the chat?
Yeah, we'll do.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We'll have to do another live stream about independent contractors and things and because there are a couple different, you know, ways. Of course, families who have full-time, part-time, consistent nannies uh cannot pay them as independent contractors. They have to have taxes taken out. That's why we have GTM. And then, but there are people who have NCS businesses, and sometimes agencies book them, or they're placed through agencies, but the NCS is their own business. And so they are sometimes independent contractors. They handle all the taxes. So there's, a couple different angles. We require all of our families who hire long-term, full-time, part-time to sign up for payroll, because you're not going to come for me when the IRS comes for you. But sitters, as needed, that's a thing. Awesome. You're launching sitters and talking to wonderful, wonderful sitters, y'all. Great way. And people ask, because sometimes that first placement may take a while. And I'm always a fan of start those sitter services, because you get paid, depending on your model, booking fees. So paid per booking. It's a great thing. So let's just say you place 20 sitters a week and your booking fee is $30. That's $600 that you can use to hire a VA, some income, run your agency. So yeah, we'll have to have a whole separate one on sitters. So any other questions? I'll send out the replay. I'll send out my notes. I'm sorry they weren't working. They weren't coming up. Probably something I'm doing. I need to take a Canva class. Um, any other questions? Hope you learned something. Hopefully you're going to implement that one thing and make it work. But if not, oh, you rock too. Thank you. If not, I'll talk to y'all soon. I'll send the replay. I'll edit it down a bit. But yeah, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.